fans! Welcome back to History with Himali. Today, we are going to be talking about a very famous Greek philosopher. Maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't. Either way, I'm here for you and I've got your back. So, today we are going to be talking about Socrates. So, let's get started. So, who was Socrates? Socrates was one of Greece's most famous philosophers. Ever heard of the Socratic talking method? Well, Socrates is the one responsible for starting the Socratic talking method. So basically, the Socratic talking method is when you ask questions to make your point in a conversation. That's exactly how Socrates taught, and that's exactly how the Socratic talking method was born. So back then, in ancient Greece, everyone was focused on finding out how things work and what causes things to happen. So when they couldn't explain things, some examples of things they couldn't explain back then is like why thunderstorms happen and why droughts happen and why hurricanes happen. They used to believe that it was the work of gods. Now, there were obviously some people, aka philosophers, that did not believe in these mythical stories. They always believed there was a natural and scientific cause for things to happen. So those people that didn't believe in gods were usually executed for their beliefs. Socrates was unfortunately executed for his beliefs because, like I said earlier, Socrates was a philosopher and didn't believe in all the mythical stories that most of the Greeks believed in. But Socrates had a student. Yes, you probably have heard of Socrates' student. He is one of the most famous philosophers in ancient Greece. His name is Plato. Now, Plato proposed something that would help the people understand Socrates and what they did to him. It is called the allegory of the cave, which I will explain to you now. So, there are 3 men trapped in a cave, and all they can see of the world is shadows, so they expect the rest of the world to be all shadows. Until one day, one of the men escapes from the cave and sees what the real world is really like. And then, to his surprise, the real world is not shadows. It's beautiful and colorful and not like all dark and shadowy. Then he goes back to the cave and tells the others that the real world is nothing like inside of the cave. There aren't many shadows in the real world. Everything is bright and beautiful and colorful. But the others don't believe him. They tell him, "That's bogus. There's no way everything in the real world can't be made of shadows." And he tells them, "But I know what I saw." And then they tell him, "Well, if you're going to keep talking about all this bogus that the real world has no shadows, then we have no choice but to kill you." And so, they kill him. So that story is pretty similar to what happened to Socrates, right? Alright, history fans, that's all for today. Please be sure to like and subscribe to History